Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Happy Movie Mangoes podcast. Today we're talking about our top five favorite movies ever.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. So we each have a list of our top five favorite movies. I believe we limited it to five so we don't talk for hours and hours and hours about this. But who wants to share their list first?
I'll start. So our sharing our list is going starting with number five. So for my fifth favorite movie ever is Lord of the Rings: Fellowship of the Ring. The reason I think it's one of my favorite movies ever is has really good world building, introduces the characters very well, and a lot of interesting and memorable characters. It has very good flow and pace for the story. A lot of people call the Fellowship of the Ring pretty slow, but I think every moment's great. And the reason I have it number five is because even though it impacted me a lot, it wasn't as much as the other movies that I have.
Okay, dumb question. I have a terrible memory, and
Green.
I should have mentioned this in the first episode, but it's number three.
No, I just said green.
This is the first movie
Oh, it's the
with
first
the
one. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I couldn't remember which one it was. I'm gonna get hate comments for that. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's the first one.
So are we each doing our fifth one, or are you doing your whole list and then
Oh, let's all do the fifth one and then yeah, so we're building up to like the top movies.
okay, I'll go next. So my fifth movie is Interstellar.
No.
I like Interstellar. I remember a lot of people talking about it. And there's one scene in particular that makes me emotional every time. It's when he's looking at the videos of like his kids growing up because he went on that planet that like warped time like a ton. So yeah, I really like Interstellar.
Nice, nice.
What's your number five, Dallin?
My number five. I put Troy, the director's cut.
I've never heard of Troy.
What?
You need to watch it.
Blasphemer. Troy, I put mainly because well, it's got Brad Pitt. That should say enough. But Brad Pitt does a really good job. It's about the Trojan War with like Achilles and everything. And what it does really well is pretty much the main characters have like it's kind of like one dimensional in a way where it's like they just have one goal. Like Achilles is all about glory, so all of his character motive is driven by what will get him the best like the best glory. And like one character is driven by honor, and one character is driven by like power. So what's great about the movie is it shows those aspects and shows why these characters are like really good characters, but then they eventually become their downfall.
When did this movie come out?
Probably like
2004.
2004? Yeah, that sounds right.
And you said the director's cut, right?
The director's cut.
What's the difference between the regular and the director's cut?
It's probably like similar to Lord of the Rings, where it's like it just makes it longer, but there is some good stuff in it. Like some scenes are just a little bit longer, but really not much. Yeah, they add more lines. So it's not really like a huge difference as far as like the movie experience goes.
Dallin was pretty upset when we were just watching the theatrical version. So he's
I
like,
was
this is unwatchable.
well, it sucks when you're trying to like quote the movie and then right at the part where you're gonna quote it, they skip it.
Hmm.
It's like I know no one likes the people who like talk next to you like and say line for line what the whole movie is, but in this case I wanted to do that and they blocked me from doing that.
That's funny. So it has to be the director's cut or else you won't watch it.
I mean, I'll watch it, but I just won't like
Oh,
it.
oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's mine.
All right, very
Nice.
good.
Moving on to
Uh,
number four.
Number
yeah,
four.
number four. So my number four favorite movie ever is The Avengers from 2012.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, pretty basic, but
I'm surprised you put a Marvel movie in your top five.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is the only one. So I was like,
re read the crowd.
I was like, just wait for the next one. But so it's pretty similar reasoning for why I like the first Lord of the Rings because I don't feel like the actual like first Avenger like Marvel movies with like Iron Man or whoever do a really good job of like introducing like the heroes as well as like the villain, you know. I think Iron Man does a really good job of introducing his hero character, but the other ones are kind of just boring. And this movie really like makes them stand out. And so you see like their different personalities and traits, and they actually do have like real character conflict. And the movie is like really builds up to like the ending very well, I think. So it's
Yeah.
very
I
exciting.
remember I was very hyped about the Avengers when it like first came out
Hmm.
because I feel like at that time the superhero movies were kind of on the newer side of things and like they were still like really cool and not like super saturated because there were so many of them. And like the Avengers just like combined them all and it was like so cool.
Yeah, yeah, they delivered. It's also like the best trailer ever because it's like you said, it spawned like I've never seen like a franchise like this where it spawned so many movies afterwards. And even I we'll see after Deadpool and Wolverine, but they're still making movies, you know.
Yeah. Well, and even what was kind of cool is like you were mentioning, it brought in so many superheroes together. Was that wasn't really like common to bring like what felt like different, like you have like certain franchises like the Terminator where it's like, oh yeah, the Terminator is going to be in it, but like the only one I can think of that kind of did the same thing as Marvel is like the Alien franchise where they also had the Predator, and then eventually they had the Alien and Predator movies
Mm,
where it's like kind of different genres, even though they're the same people made them, but then they brought them together to make a mashup movie. That was like what the Avengers was as well, was
yeah.
doing that with a bunch of different characters, and it did it actually good instead of Alien versus Predator.
Do you think
So,
the Godzilla franchise has as many movies as the Marvel franchise?
Uh,
probably not as many, but probably close. Like Marvel has like 33 movies.
I don't think there's 33.
Really, it's only 33?
Only 33.
It seems like there's like 100. I don't know.
Oh, Godzilla has like 38 films according to the Wikipedia.
Oh, snap. I
So
feel
it
like
beat
whenever I
it.
search Godzilla, there's like
Mhm.
so many. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but we're talking like most of the time it's dudes in a gorilla suit versus a guy in a Godzilla suit, and then
That's true. That's true.
they're
There's a lot of old Godzillas.
uh yeah, probably. But like Godzilla is probably the biggest ever was with like the rebooted Godzilla versus King Kong from like 2021 or something. So
Yeah. Well, that and what was it? Godzilla. What was the other one that came out? The one with Japan. It was like,
oh, -1.
yeah, -1. That one
That
I
was
think
great.
a lot of people saw too that really liked it.
I'll go next. So I forgot to mention when I started my list, I tried to pick different types of movies, not all like the same, like not all action, you know. So
Mhm.
Interstellar was more of a, I feel like more serious tone. This one is a rom-com. I picked for my fourth movie While You Were Sleeping.
Get Out.
Oh.
Okay.
What? This one's so good. And probably the main reason that I really like this one is because it has Sandra Bullock, and I feel like a lot of Sandra Bullock movies are really good.
He's very hot.
See, but let me pose it to you this way. If the roles were swapped and it was Sandra Bullock's character was a guy and the guy who fell down was a girl, wouldn't that just be like a bunch of stalking? Like it'd be a dude infiltrating a girl's family and saying that they're in love and gonna get married and she has no idea.
That is true. It would be very creepy if you switched the roles.
Yeah.
Just saying, there's something about that.
But it's a very, I feel like it's a very memorable movie too. My wife and I also recreated the movie poster one time, and that was kind of fun. So,
Oh yeah.
That is fun.
Great
all
out.
right.
Number 4.
All right, my number four that I picked was The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars.
Ooh.
So I picked this one because I'd say it's like not quite the most remembered Star Wars movie because that'd be like the original one because of like how big it was, but definitely it's like one of the top, and I think it's like that's the one that everyone thinks back to as like one of the greatest Star Wars movies, especially with like there's a bit of romance, there's some good action, there's like one of the biggest plot twists in cinema history that everyone still kind of talks about. So I think that movie is fantastic, and that's why I picked it.
Okay. Again, I have a terrible memory. What number is this one?
This is the second released movie.
Okay.
So came out in the 80s, but it's the fifth episode in the series. So
I thought you said which
Okay.
point on my list this was. I was like, this is still we're still on number four.
No, I meant which number in the Star Wars series.
Okay, yeah,
uh,
it's technically five, even though it's the second one released.
I didn't realize that it was the second one released. So
yeah,
they released them out of order?
George Lucas did. He's a crazy person.
Okay.
Well, it's because like
Yeah.
originally they just like I don't think they listed like I think it was later on when they edited the movies where it started saying like episode four, episode five, episode six. I think they just did the title and then like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or just like Star Wars. And then later that when the prequels came out, that's when they, renumbered everything. So then even though New Hope is the fourth, I don't know, it was the first movie released, but it's the fourth one in order. So
Mhm.
that's what they did. So yeah, George Lucas is crazy.
Mhm.
Hey, he created the franchise though.
I'm pretty sure he just filmed it. It's his editing team that did all the work.
It's all CGI.
He
Yeah,
he didn't even direct Empire Strike Back. He didn't even direct it.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, it's a different
Well, I'm
guy.
sure he had like a big hand in it, making it, but
Very
Was he
tiny
a
hand.
writer?
uh, yeah, he might be. I think there was like maybe two other people. I don't know.
I think he's listed as a producer for the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like just listed
Oh,
as producer.
okay.
But anyway, well let's move on to number three.
I was thinking for number three, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Ooh.
So I really like that movie because Jack Sparrow is probably one of the best protagonists in movie history. You're not really sure what his deal is, like when you first meet him, and it's like he thinks he's just like this person who cares all about money, or it's like this low life, this bottom feeder. And then he's as you like go throughout the entire film, you realize he's like the smartest character and he's the hero, you know. And so it's like, with in contrast to like William Turner's character, it's a really good movie. And there's just a lot of good quotes, a lot of good moments with character interaction. The soundtrack, the soundtrack with all these movies are just also really good. But Pirates of the Caribbean is got to be like one of the most instantly recognizable. And
John
like, I
Williams did it, right?
think so. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up later. But anyways, I just think it's like excellent and it's very funny, very dark. So it's number three, because I like the other two movies more. They just have a more special place in my heart than this one. But this one's up there.
Yeah. I have not seen all of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, as
Uh
long as you see the first one, you're good.
yeah.
Is this the first one?
Yeah, this
The
is the first one.
Okay, I think I have seen that one then.
Yeah,
It's definitely like the least whack
Goofy.
it's not as goofy. Like it's like Matt was saying, it's surprisingly dark for a Disney movie. Like that's what's weird about it. But then the other ones are they're borderline like goofy and not like dark or serious, I would say.
Yeah, like cartoonish.
Yeah.
All right, Spencer, what's your number three? Third favorite movie of all time?
All right. You guys are probably gonna hate me for this, but Hunger Games.
I hate you. No, I'm kidding.
The first Hunger Games specifically.
Oh, this is the first one. Oh, okay, good.
Okay. You're redeemed.
Uh,
I really like this one. I feel like it's very, very iconic now. I read the books when the books came out, and I feel like the movie did the books justice. Some book people might not agree, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like I had never seen something quite like that before that movie. I don't know how to explain it. Like all the violent children. I don't know.
Well,
I like it when the children kill each other.
it stars the first female action star, so that's like a really big
Hmm.
novel for this movie.
Have you heard that, Spencer? Where so Jennifer in an interview with I forget the other actress's name, but Jennifer Lawrence said that she was like the first female action movie star in that interview.
Oh,
I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie.
The internet like blew up, and then she like tried retracting it or tried saying that she didn't actually mean what she said. So, but it was too
I
late
did
at
not
that
know
point.
that.
Hmm.
That's funny.
It's
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really liked it. I think because I grew up with the series coming out and it's so iconic. So, and I do like all of the sequels. I mean, not as much. I really like the prequel movie too. I contemplated
Oh,
putting that in my top five list, but
then you got sober.
no, no. That movie's really good, and you know it.
What's funny about the first one is like with the actual Hunger Games itself, it's done really well to where it's terrifying, whereas it's like the other movies, I don't feel like terrified watching them go through the Hunger Games again. Like it doesn't hit the same,
Mm,
and it's like I don't, it's like in the second one she's done it before, and it's kind of like we're not really worried whether or not she's gonna live or die, but it's like in the first one, you're definitely like it's more confusing, you don't know what's going on, and it's done really well, I would say.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, especially the part like in the end where they're like they think they're gonna poison themselves, and you think that's gonna be the end of the movie. Like you
Hmm.
really believe they're
Oh
gonna do
yeah,
it. So,
plot twist.
all right, down number three.
Number three. So I picked, this is another Lord of the Rings movie, but I picked Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So for Spencer, that is the second Lord of the Rings movie.
Okay.
I picked this one mostly 'cause, again, it's like going back to, I think when most people, actually, I take it back. When most people think about Lord of the Rings, they think about the third one, I would say, because it's like that was the ending one, but it has like a lot of really good battles and moments. I would say the Two Towers is on my list because that one I think all the actors do a really good job in the movie, and it's like they do a really good job of pacing as for like because it's you're following like probably two or three different groups of people of what's going on, and they do a really good job of just like switching back and forth, having them tie in together, and it has some really cool moments like the Battle of Helm's Deep is like a really really good moment for the movie and for the franchise, mostly because like it's another one of those where you really do believe that they're not going to make it and that they're going to all die in that battle and it's going to be like a losing situation. So anyway, the movie does a really good job and that's why it's on my list.
Why the second one over the other
The first
ones?
one.
Uh, I mean, it's like I do like the other ones a lot. Like all of them are fantastic. They're all really really done really well. I think mainly it's like the Battle of Helm's Deep was done probably the best.
So that was like
Um,
the tipping point that put this movie over the others.
yeah, well, yeah, like that has a really good moment. It's also really good with like Frodo and like the third one, Frodo is just annoying in my opinion. Like he's just like really annoying to like listen to and watch. But like in the second one, I think he's done better, where it's like showing he's actually like struggling, holding the ring and doing this mission, and Sam's keeping him there, like sane, you know. So that's why I picked that one. I think if I had to pick between the two, like the third one and the second one, I think I'd prefer to watch the second one.
But if you had to pick between the first one and the second one, you picked the first one, right?
I'd pick the second one. See, the first one's good. I do really like that one, but
Mm,
this one's on my number three, and that one's on your number, what
mm.
was it, five?
Yeah, but mine ones are better
So
than yours, so
I think my list trumps yours.
we'll see
Oh,
about that.
snap.
That's for the audience to decide.
Yeah.
Yes. Please comment. Let us know which list is the most accurate.
Who's the best?
All right, Matt, what's your number two?
All right, it's gonna blow them away. So my number two is The Dark Knight.
You
Mm.
jerk.
Yeah. It's one of the, I feel like it's one of the few thriller movies that actually feels like a thriller the whole way through. And you're always on the edge of your seat. You're always like tuned in to like the action, what's happening. The movie has really good pacing. So you're just like not only understanding exactly what's happening, which is like rare for a Christopher Nolan film, um, it just helps you to, stay in your, I want to say, stay in tune for the plot. And I guess like the storytelling was really good. I think it has like the best acting out of any movie with Heath Ledger, and
Yeah.
almost every actor in that movie makes their character iconic and memorable. And it's one of the few superhero movies and movies in general that like where pretty much every character is very intelligent and smart, but is like morally they have like all these different like views on everything, like Joker versus the gangsters versus the police versus Batman. Harvey Dent. They're all incredibly like smart, but just practical. And so, but it also, yeah, like with that, just one of those few movies that really make you think. And as opposed to like most other superhero movies where it's like the bad guy is trying to take over the world or destroy the world, or someone's trying to steal something, or someone has like a revenge vendetta against the main character. This is like different because they're not fighting over any of that. Like the stakes are actually like the soul of Gotham, where it's like their view on people, and Joker thinks that like people just need a little push to become like monsters like him, and Batman's trying to say like everyone just needs a little inspiration to become heroes. So it's one of the more meaningful movies, I think. That's why it's number two.
I really like The Dark Knight. I almost put it in my top five. It's probably my top or my number six movie. I really like the acting of Heath Ledger. I agree with you. I think it's like one of the best acting of all time.
That's probably like, I mean, I've seen a few other movies of Heath Ledger, but that one was probably like what really made me really like him a lot.
Wasn't that his last role, or
Yeah,
did he do one more after that?
he died at like before the movie came out.
Oh, really? Oh, I
He
didn't
might
realize
have been
that.
in like involved with something else, but I'm not sure if that ever fell through, or I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it was his last like major role at least. So
yeah, which is a bummer. Which is also kind of why I think his role as the Joker also like people remember and like as their favorite is because it also is like his dying movie, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
I still think it would be as popular if he hadn't died. Like if he was still alive, I think the movie would still be as big as it was.
Hmm.
But I think that definitely like added some, what's the word, marketing to the movie. So,
Yeah,
I think they wanted people to think that the character role that he played drove him crazy and drove him to overdosing, and because it was just that crazy. So, which I don't agree with. I think he just was an addict. So, anyway, all right,
Yeah.
Spencer, hit us up with number two,
All right.
your second choice.
My number two is Free Guy. The main reason I really, really like this one is because of its video game theme. I grew up playing video games. I really like video games, and there was a lot of cool references to games throughout the movie. And I did like the story too. I feel like it was a unique story, something that we haven't really seen before. I will say it may not be like the perfect plot, but I really, really enjoyed it. And so that's why it's my number two.
so what was your favorite video game reference from the movie?
Um, I'm trying to think.
When the admins were kicking him out, Spencer was really like, "Oh yeah, I remember that happening to me."
I guess this wasn't a specific game, but I think my favorite thing was the like NPC aspect. And I feel like this spawned a whole lot of people doing the same thing. But I believe there's a part where he is like glitching out or something.
Hmm.
And so like his movements are very like stuttery and jittery. And I remember watching a lot of like there's a lot of videos out there about people mimicking like Skyrim NPCs, and I feel like maybe this movie kind of spawned that idea of like acting like an NPC. But Yeah. So I guess that's not really a specific game reference, but gaming as a whole.
The one thing I liked about that movie, or like I did like the jacked up free guy, and I just like where he's just like catchphrase, and they just it's because the guys are just so lazy they didn't even put in a catchphrase for him, so it's like a
Yeah.
placeholder.
Yeah.
I like that, or they're like, we only put in two, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I wonder if video game developers really enjoyed it just because they could like relate to the game developers in the movie.
Hmm.
hmm
Yeah.
All right,
Cool. All
Dylan,
right.
let's hear your rip-off number two.
Hey, mine's not a ripoff because I came up with it first. It's The Dark Knight. So to say something different, no, it's actually Superman: The Quest for Peace or whatever. I think to add on top of it, I think there's three scenes in particular that I think are like the best scenes of the movie and are just it's worth watching the movie just for those three scenes. And it's the beginning bank heist scene is fantastic. I think when Joker meets up with the gangsters is fantastic. And then I think one of the end scenes where it's the two boats where they're like trying to get the two boats to blow each other up. I think
Mm.
all of those scenes are super, super well done. I mean, the whole movie's well done. Like all of it is worth watching, but I think those are constantly just my favorites to watch, especially the gangster scene because Heath Ledger is hilarious. Like he's not trying to be funny, but he's hilarious in it. Like,
Yeah, it's like going from like dark humor to morbid humor when he kills a guy, and then just like funny jokes. Like he's like surprisingly very funny in that scene, but he's also terrifying. So that's it's really well done.
yeah, like I just like the part where he's like, all of them are gonna kill him, and then he like unveils that he has like a bunch of like grenades attached to a string, and he's like gonna pull it, and they're like, "You think you could just steal from us and walk away?" He's like, "Yeah." You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's super enjoyable. So that's why I picked that one. I picked it first. Okay.
Well, that's where's your proof? So well done, Down. Well done.
Thank you.
We're moving on to the
Oh,
ones.
number one. Okay. This very original number one spot is The Empire Strikes Back.
You jerk.
I also thought of that one first, but I guess the one thing I could say to add to and this is my number one favorite movie. So the reason why I like pick this movie versus all the other five is just because I love Star Wars so much. And
You mean
even though like
nine?
what?
The other nine, you mean? The other 11 movies?
Other four movies on my top rank spot.
Oh, okay.
Down. Get with the get with the
Okay.
program. So the reason why I like this is my number one versus the other four movies that I was talking about is just because I love the universe more. I love the characters more. I think it also just has some like bit of everything for each movie, like comedy, tragedy. It has like the soap opera, romance, and plot twists, and it has one of the best movie villains ever. Because the thing about The Dark Knight is Joker comes close to winning, but in this movie, like the bad guys win, and so it's very like actually a dark chapter in that sense. And Darth Vader, therefore, is like one of the best movie villains just because he is so competent in this movie and handles things very well. And he himself also has like a character change. That's why it's my number one.
Nice.
That one also, like, this is like a small thing, but like, whenever I rewatch that movie, it's always like just how clean some things look. Like, the movie looks really, really good. But
Oh
like,
yeah,
especially like Darth Vader's costume, like, that one, it's particularly dark but shiny in a way. And it just like the contrast of the light and the dark kind of makes it horrifying, like to look at him.
yeah, I agree.
So that does really well for his character.
Yeah, everything is well shot in that movie with like the vehicle models, like the places in the galaxy they explore. It's like super cool and super sci-fi. So
hmm Oh, for clarity, do you prefer the original shooting of the movie or do you prefer the George Lucas second edit or the third edit?
yeah, my favorite version. I do like the original one, but I also do like it where they include the Emperor from the sixth movie into the hologram where he's talking to Darth Vader. So if they kept everything from the original, because I just do like I don't really like the special editions in general with just the throwing in random CGI stuff that doesn't
Hmm.
really add to the movie. So
Well, like, I don't know about you guys, but I never grew up seeing the original one. So I've never seen it, and it's weird because there's like some stuff I like didn't know that it was like original. Like, for instance, the Wampa scene is completely different in the original one versus like the new ones, which I think the new one looks better for at least that scene.
mhm.
But yeah, it's just weird. Like, and I don't think we can watch it.
Do you think it's on YouTube somewhere?
I'm not even sure if they've kept like the original tapes for the original Star Wars movies, like as they were released in theaters. I think there was like this whole thing between like George Lucas and the fans, where the fans were really upset that you can't like just get the original versions, and they have to get like the special editions that he made afterwards, after the fact.
You don't think they kept one somewhere in Hollywood?
Maybe in his basement he keeps it somewhere just so he can torture the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Cool. All right, Spencer, what's your number one favorite movie of all time?
Now, this movie I discovered fairly recently, and it is the Weird Al movie, Weird Al Yankovic. Now, the backstory, so my wife and I were on a celebrity movie kick. So we watched like the Whitney Houston movie, we watched the Elvis movie, and so we're like, oh, let's watch the Weird Al movie. And if you've seen the Elvis or Whitney Houston movie, those are like more serious. Uh, and so we were going into Weird Al thinking, oh, this is going to be like a serious movie. And then the first scene is like the parents crapping on their kid, basically, and his dreams. It's very satire, which was very shocking when we first watched it. And there's just a lot of quotable moments from that movie. And now I like enjoy watching it with people who have never seen it to see their reaction to the movie because I think Weird Al, he was definitely a producer. I don't remember if he directed it, but I'm pretty sure he was like whatever he wanted went in the movie. And I think that's really cool. And I think that made it really unique and funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you were showing that to me and Down for the first time, I was really going into it thinking like, oh no, like watching this movie. Because the trailer also makes you think it's a serious movie. So
yeah,
they didn't like do the trailer satirical. They just played it straight and you're like, it was an inspirational story about Weird Al. And you're just like, oh no. They're not even joking. They're being serious with this. But yeah, then it like throws you a bunch of like curveballs and Weird Al makes fun of himself all the time. So
yeah,
Well, like another funny tidbit about this movie is like how it got made. So like a while ago, Weird Al, I guess like or someone made like a trailer for like a fake movie, and then apparently he would show that at all of his like performances, like just at the end or something, like he would show it to people just for the trailer, just to get people hyped for a movie that's not going to exist. And then I think they finally decided to do it, and that's how this movie got made. But it's like super funny that it was like
yeah.
more of like a joke.
I think it's a shame that it was put on Roku Originals
Hmm.
because I think more people need to see this movie. And because it was put there, like nobody saw it.
yeah, and it didn't like release in theaters, right? It was just a Roku
Yeah,
original, right?
yeah.
I think it could have done super well, or
Hmm.
like it probably could. But it's unfortunate that it's on Roku.
Yeah. I think it also had a bunch of celebrities in it, like
Yeah.
cameos. And I think it's just because he's friends with a bunch of people. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, they're also probably just like fans of his as well. So it's like,
that's true.
yeah. All right, down number one.
All right, saving the best for last. I know all your guys' was just a joke. But the real number one movie is Spider-Man 2. This movie, I picked this one. It was my first movie I thought of when we were talking about lists. Is because I grew up with this movie. and it's a good superhero movie, but I think it's also the best Spider-Man movie. Mostly just with how they deal with the main character of Peter Parker and showing like how his life in general is a struggle, which is like the whole point of the Spider-Man character is that he's a hero, even though it's super inconvenient to him, but it's purposeful and it's needed. So in that aspect, it does a really good job of just showing that him being Spider-Man is making his life like the worst. Like his friends hate him, his love interest hates him. Eventually, like, his aunt hates him, or at least like kind of resents him in some way. And it's like the overall explanation of what would fix his life is just everyone knew he was Spider-Man. But anyway, it is great, and I know that all you wish you put it as your number one, and this is my TED Talk.
I mean, it's okay. I'd probably say it's like top 6, maybe.
You shut your mouth.
Oh, do we want to go over some bonus questions for this episode?
Sure.
What came close, at least? Do you have any of those movies you wanted to put in your top 5 but didn't feel like you could?
Like runner-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already mentioned The Dark Knight for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say Spider-Man 2 also came up, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, like the first Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, Groundhog's Day.
There's like a bunch of movies that I think like just fall in the category of just like either A tier or S tier of just like really, really, really good movies. But it came down to the point where I just had to pick like ones that had like meaning to me. But like, there's movies like Terminator 2 or like you're saying, like Avengers, and even the first Iron Man movie is also up there. Like I think that one's like probably, I would argue, the best Marvel movie that's wasn't even made by the Marvel Cinematic Universe technically. I'm trying to think, like there's a few others, but those are some that were like runner-ups for me.
I just looked at my letterbox again because didn't write down my runner-ups. One for me was Kill Bill. I really like Kill Bill.
Not Kill Bill.
You don't like Kill Bill?
No one likes it.
What?
No, people like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, and I kind of mentioned this when I brought up Hunger Games, but the prequel Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songs and Snakes, or whatever it's called, that one I really like.
I have not seen it.
I don't recommend it.
Well, if you're like Matt, then you probably won't like it. But if you're like me, then you'll like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm worried. There's like a few like movies that have come out that I'm just kind of like not watching. Kind of like the live action Disney. I mean, even though I think my fiance likes him, so I think I'm gonna end up watching him.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like even the last couple of Hunger Game movies, I wasn't a huge fan of. Unfortunately, like I didn't like what was the third one? The part one movie.
Mockingjay?
Yeah, Mockingjay. Part 1.
Yeah.
That one was a tough one to go through.
Yeah, that one I think is the worst one out of the series.
Yeah, it's just a cash grab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have one last movie when you can have 2?
Because like wasn't that also like around the same time as like Harry Potter? And like Harry Potter did that too.
Harry Potter did it first, and then they copied Harry Potter because they're like, ooh, Harry Potter made a ton of movie doing this. Or
Yeah.
made a lot of money doing this.
One thing we should do in the future is just like because Matthew has done this, but it's like looking at how much money like franchises have made, and Harry Potter's is interesting where it's like a bell curve, but in the opposite direction.
Oh.
The first one made a ton of money, and then it kind of goes lower and lower, and then the last one like shut off. Like the 8th movie made way more than the others.
Even though supposedly people claim the third Harry Potter movie is like one of the best ones, that one made the least amount of money, and then it kind of slowly came back up until like the last movie, and then like Matt was saying, the last movie made the most.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down to do an episode about that.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening and watching if you're on YouTube. Make sure to comment and let us know if you agree with our lists or if you disagree with mine because mine's the most accurate. And make sure to leave a rating and review, and we'll see you in the next episode, which we are going to be talking about the opposite, which is our top 5 least favorite movies. So the ones that are crappy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Mm.